matters, police prosecutors handling the trial of 20 persons accused of murdering Major Mahama have revealed they are on a manhunt for 13 more persons they believe took part in the murder. Major Mahama was on May 29 lynched by a mob at Denshobuase in the central region who suspected him to be an armed robber. The suspects were brought back to court today. JoyNews' Joseph Akable was in court and now reports.
So it's about 10 a.m. and all the accused persons are being led into the courtroom. 20 of them so far. 2 weeks ago, that number was at 19, but that number came to 20 after the accused person, who is suspected to have retrieved the phone belonging to the deceased, was apprehended by the police force and also brought before the Accra Central District Court. That brings the number to 20, and those 20 individuals are being led into the courtroom. Hearing itself will take place upstairs. It's at one of the courtrooms upstairs. This is the block that houses quite a number of the district courts here in the capital, and the hearing itself will take place upstairs where the accused persons will be led to today. We understand the police will try and consolidate the case of the individual they picked up together with the 19 others to put all 20 cases on a single docket. So that is the situation for now here at the Accra Central District Court. Itself did not last more than 25 minutes. A police prosecutor, DSP George Amega, informed the court that they had first wanted to consolidate the charge sheet before the court. Now they put all the 20 accused persons' names on a single charge sheet, bringing that number to 20, like I pointed out. Now this includes that individual who was charged individually when he was brought over to the courtroom, the person who the alleged soldier's phone was retrieved from. So that was granted by Magistrate Ebenezer Kweku Ansah. DSP George Amega also informed the court about the fact that they had forwarded a duplicate docket over to the Attorney General's Department for advice. But he also added that the police are on a manhunt for 13 other individuals whom they suspect took part in the murder of Army Major Maxwell Mahama, for which reason they were asking for additional time as the investigators go about their activities to try and apprehend these individuals. Magistrate Ansah adjourned hearing to September 7 to allow for that advice from the Attorney General's Department to be received, as well as to allow some more time for the police investigators to try to apprehend the accused persons they claim they are on a manhunt for. So hearing of the matter will continue on September 7. As you can see behind me, the individuals were just moved into the van that brings them to the courtroom each time, and they are being taken away to police custody. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Joseph Akable from the Accra District Court.
Joseph Akable with that report. Now, lawyer for the accused persons is disputing some of the claims put out by the police. George Bernard Shaw insists the Assemblyman William Barr could not have mobilized the mob to kill the soldier. He also served notice of their intention to file for bail.
The facts as presented by the... You heard what was stated in court. Obviously, there's client lawyer privilege that I'm not supposed to divulge to you, and also I'm not going to comment on present ongoings at court, deliberations, proceedings at court. But all I can say is that yes, what my instructions, especially in relation to William Barr, is not as was presented in court. We heard what was said in court. Is basically it is not as they said. The process of trial, that's why it's so important to have a proper judicial inquiry in the true spirit of rule of law, so that the facts will come out and what they say, and then the evidence that will be adduced will be tested. And if it reaches the threshold of going beyond reasonable doubt, as the criminal law demands, then the law will take its course.
When do you...
I won't say openly our tactics, but a lot of factors will impinge on the decision to make a bail application, not least the welfare of the accused persons as well. Because as you know, there's a public uproar against what many perceive to be an unjustified killing, which we subscribe to because nobody deserves to die that way. But again, it's a court of law and the evidence will prove whatever the facts will reveal.
Lawyer for an Indian national deported and now detained at the airport has served notice he will lawfully resist any effort to remove his client from the country as he qualifies to stay. This notice comes on the back of a suit against the Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, at whose instance the Indian was deported. The deportee was once again detained on his way back to the country after the deportation order was quashed by the courts. His lawyer, Micco of Safo and Mafo at law, today secured a habeas corpus order with which the Interior Minister must produce his client in court and argue out reasons why he must be deported. JoyNews has learned the Indian national was being prepared for repatriation this morning. Micco joins me via Skype for a very quick update on this matter. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. Hello, Lawyer Micco, if you can hear me, what's the background to this incident?
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. This matter, this deportation, apparently started somewhere. That notice to us 15th of May 2017. Now, the background to this matter is that there is a certain case which is pending in the High Court Division, that is the commercial division, between Micco and Ashok and the business partner Shashin Number. Now, in view of the relationship with people, it's been difficult for them to work together. So the court made up that they should go a private company so that they buy out that company. Now, we got the order on the 5th May 2017. Along the line, I was informed that the other guy threatened my deportation. And 10 cleared it on the line. 10 cleared it on the line. The deportation order was by the Minister for the Interior. He deported the guy from the gun. That notice to him. Now, what for the opinion of the minister was that the man has presented what he termed as a forged marriage certificate.
Forged marriage certificate?
Forged marriage certificate.
Okay.
Presented by him to process registration of Ghanaian citizenship. Now, what you must understand is that the man was not in Ghana as a dependent of the woman. He was in Ghana as a work/resident permit holder and has been in Ghana for the past 17 years. There is no record of him having committed any crime. There is nobody who has committed any forgery. No court has done that. This order being issued was executed on the 1st of June and he was removed from Ghana without notice to him. He was not heard about the merits of any allegation of forgery against him. Nobody called him into iniquity. He was just deported. As a matter of fact, I was not in the jurisdiction. So when I came back, I sought audience with the Interior. We tried everything to have a request. It took us 7 weeks, and we realized that the position was not changed. And along the line, this other guy entered the country, went and produced a certain ported board of directors resolution. And the company has only directors. And they used 2 people, others who are not directors, did a resolution, took it to the bank, and said the bank should make it a so split to the account so you can draw the money of the company. We were elected by the bank. We filed application at the bank to freeze the money at the bank.
Okay. So
that the money is not taken. As it stands, the High Court differently constituted heard the application to July. It was argued on behalf of the minister and the director of application by officers of Attorney General. The court ruled on application and said that what the minister did was unlawful.
Okay.
On two grounds. One, that he does not have power to make a judicial determination of fraud. And that if you think that there was any confidential information about fraud, you ought to have put the man before court for the man to be having heard before court.
Okay.
Not having heard the man also amounted to a gross use of professional. The man's right to be heard, but the uttering pattern has been violated.
Okay.
And on the strength of this, the deportation order issued on the 15th of May 2017 was quashed by the Higher Court on 31st July 2017. The court made and said, look, coming to the country, and that when he is coming to the country, he should not be stopped.
So
and
now,
bear
with me. Now you have served the Ministry of Interior this order. Have you had any responses from the ministry? Have they engaged you in any way?
No, the order signed. The first one I did was a ruling of the court that quashed illegal deportation by the Minister for the Interior. Okay. Now, the second aspect is that when he came to the country yesterday, was detained. As of yesterday, in 9 a.m., I was still at the immigration at the airport, and they were not releasing him. Now, this morning we had indication that they were going to again repatriate him. In view of this, we've had habeas corpus application this morning.
All right.
To compel them, put him before court.
Okay.
To show cause as to why they're detaining him over there. And the court made clear this, that they should bring him before tomorrow.
And that is expected to happen tomorrow. But
tomorrow.
Let me wrap up on this conversation with you by asking you what your ultimate aim is for. Ultimately, what do you aim to achieve? That he'll be in the country to stay, or what?
The man is already in the country. He was already staying here. He's been here 17 years. He has a business here, employing 160 Ghanaians, paying taxes. Why do you deport a man without any basis?
Okay.
You understand? So basically, we are saying that the president cannot be bringing investors into the country. All right? And then people will do certain acts to follow the same businesses in the country, but are employing Ghanaians.
Okay.
That is the point I'm making. He should stay here and do his work.
The case seems a bit complicated. Are you suing the state against the state? Educate me a bit.
Well, a lawyer must do complicated cases. That's what makes you a lawyer. You know, so we are determined that whether complicated or not complicated, the right thing must be done. Irrespective who asks the boss, the right thing must be done. Right. That's all.
All right. Thank you very much for your time here on the show. Lawyer Gary Micco is lawyer, of course, for the Indian national who who was deported but now detained at the airport. Tomorrow we expect that they'll be in court to bring you updates on that. Of course, now away from that, 2 journalists and a driver of the multimedia group in Kumasi have been made to write statements on provisional charges of unlawful entry and offensive conduct. Erastus Asari Donko and Namaya Ojima, as well as driver James Agui, have been attacked by workers at a construction site where they had gone to follow up resumption of a work on building that city authorities had ordered work to stop on for safety reasons. The workers seized the camera, damaged the microphone, and then rushed to lodge a complaint at the Asukwa police station. They're currently awaiting a word from the commander for the next line of action. Let's speak with our editor there, Said Ali Yakub. Hello, Said.
Hello, Gifty.
This is quite an unfortunate incident. What has happened now?
Well, there's this building, as you mentioned in your intro, there's this building city authorities had ordered work to stop about 10 or 15 years ago. So the building has been there, a 5-story building, as you say. And the owner of this building is one Nana Nkansa Buadu. So about a week or so ago, we have observed work has resumed, and they are roofing the building as we speak. So this morning we set to find out from them whether the city authorities have rescinded their decision and given them permit to continue. So we went there and met, Erastus and Nanaya went there this morning and met the workers. So they asked for the foreman, and they said the foreman was on one side of the building. So they asked somebody to go call him. So before the foreman could arrive, another guy rushed from upstairs and grabbed Nanaya and his camera, insisting on taking the camera. Nanaya resisted. So in the course of the struggle, the receiver of the camera, got broken. So they managed to seize it all right, and then they collected the microphone from Erastus and rushed to Ascot police station to lodge a complaint. So
what's the complaint they lodged? What are they accusing them of?
Well, their complaint is that some people had entered their premises without notice. So based on that, police invited them. They called me from the office. I've been with them since morning. We went to see the district commander, who said we should go and see the divisional commander. So after the discussion with the divisional commander, the decision was that they will have to investigate the issue. So they asked them to write statements. So all three of them have written statements. We are waiting for the divisional commander to give us word as to the next line of action. We don't know exactly what they are going to say yet.
Are they
one of the investigators, an investigator who has been ordered to work on the matter, even threatened. He actually ordered the three of them into cells, but a senior officer intervened, and they had to be brought back to the investigative room for them to write their statement. So that is the situation now. We are still waiting for the divisional commander to say whatever they want to say.
So you're still at the police station. You're still at the police station, but where are Erastus and Nanaya Ojima and the driver? Are they? I mean, where are they at the police station?
Driver, I got permission from the divisional commander for the driver to drop one of our reporters who had to go back to the office for official duties. But Erastus and Nanaya are still with the investigator at the top.
How are they feeling? Are they okay?
They are okay. They are okay. Very relaxed. They are not intimidated by anything at all.
Very well. Thank you very much, Saeed. We'll follow up on this very disturbing matter, obviously, and get some more details. Ali Yaqub Saeed is editor at Kumasi for the Multimedia Group. Away from that, tomorrow will be the 4th of August, and it may not mean much to some Ghanaians, but for historians and politicians, it has become a source of historical controversy. On the 4th of August 1897, the Aborigines Right Protection Society, a group critical of colonial rule, was formed. Fast forward to the 4th of August 1947, the United Gold Coast Convention was also formed. That is the mother party from which the New Patriotic Party was birthed. While the Ghana 60 Committee is seeking to hold a memorial and Thanksgiving service as well as a lecture to mark those two events tomorrow at Solpon in the central region, sparking controversy over a supposed attempt to tamper with the country's history and water down the role of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who is considered founder of the nation. Deputy Chief of Staff Samuel Apu Jinapo justifies the commemoration of 4th of August.
On the 4th of August 1897, a patriot, John Mensah Saba, and his colleagues established the Aborigines Rights Protection Society to fight against the Crown's Land Act Bill of 1897. They did so successfully and ensured that a decision was made that in Ghana there is nothing like a no man's land, and the lands of the indigenous people were preserved. The views of many pundits and ourselves is that this fight by John Mensah Saba and his colleagues led to the stability of our country, and it's led to the kind of land tenure system we have today. The examples to the contrary can be found in Zimbabwe and South Africa. 50 years from 4th August 1897, exactly on 4th August 1947, Pa Grant and his colleagues, the likes of J.B. Dankwa and many others, converged at Solpon to establish the first nationalist political movement of our country, the United Gold Coast Convention. And it was at this gathering that the Ghana of today, the ingredients of the Ghana of today, a democratic, free, prosperous, liberal country, was conceived. And out of that and many others, our country attained independence on 6th March, and we have the Ghana that was dreamt about on 4th August 1947 by the forebearers of our country.
Mr. Jinapo acknowledged that the committee's decision will generate political debate, but, well, he says it is indeed justified.
This will generate a lot of discussion in Ghana's political environment. There's no two ways about that. But we came to these conclusions upon very thorough and deliberate thought. We think that we can have differences in opinion or different inferences, interpretations, or deductions from historical facts. But we must be unanimous on the historical underpinnings of our country. There's no two ways about that. Our contention that the Ghana of today, and that can be deciphered from the speeches which were delivered on 4th August 1947 in Sorpon, either Pa Grant's speech or J.B. Danquo's speech. The Ghana of today was conceived on that day, and that is why we place so much significance and importance on that day. And that's why we think on the 60th anniversary of our country's independence, it is appropriate and befitting to honor that day and ensure that the importance of that day is told to our country.
Abu Jinapo is Deputy Chief of Staff. On JoyNews Agenda today, we find out how a state-sponsored real estate fund could help you own a home at a cheaper cost. Ghana's housing deficit keeps rising by the day, and the situation is terrible, mostly in the urban centers, as the search for jobs have compelled people to migrate from rural areas to the urban centers. In the following report, Maxwell Agbagba takes a walk through Nima and also speaks with experts about how you can benefit from a mortgage that's not so expensive.
I'm currently here at Nima, basically to find out what the housing situation is like here. Happening behind me right now are some kids who are back from school and enjoying a game of Ampe. But I'm here specifically to meet Emmanuel Jani. Emmanuel is actually a pensioner. He's a 67-year-old pensioner. He used to work with the Ministry of Defense as a cobbler. Emmanuel is an opinion leader here in this community. He's going to tell us exactly what it was like in the past and what the housing situation is like now here at Nima. A compound of livestock busily feeding, scattered household items, amongst them a television set. Indications the family is in dire need of space as they continue to multiply. Over 15 people live here. Emmanuel Ajani, a pensioner, tells me the housing situation in Nima has worsened over the years and people continue to struggle for places. To add salt to injury, available rooms, as poor as they may be, are way beyond their budgets, and landlords demand at least 2 years' payments in advance.
It is difficult to get a room here at Nima. You would have to go through an agent before you get a room to rent. You can't do it on your own, so you would need their help. Some people take 3 to 4 years advance payment, and some even charge as much as 650 cedis per month. Some people complain, but they have no choice. In the olden days, it was very easy getting rooms here. People used to recommend Nima to others when they are looking for rooms. And truly, people got rooms when they came here. It is difficult getting rooms here now. About 5 people came here recently in search of accommodation. I told them it is not possible, so they left.
So what options are available for people like the 5 who have had to look elsewhere in the hunt for a place to lay their heads? I have met the marketing director for Lakeside Estates, Lawrence D'Souza, in his office on the 7th floor of the Silver Star Towers. He makes a strong case for mortgages.
It just helps all the potential home buyers for them to be paying for the houses as if they are renting it. You can rent somebody's house for 20 years, the house doesn't become yours. But with mortgage, you pay for 20 years and the house eventually becomes yours. So it is a good idea for our industry.
Why then are people not rushing for options like this? Mr. D'Souza tells me high interest rates and low salary levels are major repelling factors.
It's the interest on mortgage. You see, a lot of the mortgage companies and banks, they charge a minimum of 12 to 13% on the dollar, and in excess of 28 to 40%, 28 to 30% on the cedi. That actually keeps a lot of. That's the annual interest, monthly interest. So because the whole thing is compounded, you know, they have to pay over a longer period of time, and the interest rate tends to push a lot of people away. Then another major thing I realize is that salary levels in the country are generally very low. So by the time they add the interest and they do the assessment, a lot of people tend not to qualify for the mortgage. Hitherto, if you look at elsewhere, like the US, the Canadas, people pay as low as 3%, 2% for the mortgage loan. Whilst Ghana, we are looking at 12, 13, 14% on the dollar and over 28% on the cedi.
In his opinion, Ghana needs a real estate fund to make mortgages attractive, as that could help reduce the interest rates for prospective home buyers.
Because speaking to a lot of the mortgage companies, they will tell you that the cost of borrowing, basically they borrow and they also lend on to the potential home buyer. So if the person is borrowing at 6%, the person will add his or her overheads and everything. You realize that there's no way the person is going to borrow to the potential home buyer anything less than 12%. So if we have a real estate fund where these banks could leverage on in order to borrow to homeowners, we can push the interest rates very low.
The fact still remains that tonight, thousands of people across the country will be at the mercy of a chilling night, exposed to unforeseen dangers. Reporting for JoyNews, Micco.